Hello, people of the internet, and welcome back to Rushman Productions, where I talk about everything comics, movies, and superheroes. So, this is part 4 of the history of the DC universe. And in the previous parts, we covered from the beginning of the universe to the age of new heroes to all the crisis events that have happened. Now, in this one, we'll see what happens. So, let's just start. The Book of Oa, which was a prophecy book of the Guardians, finally became true when Necron and his earthly agent Black Hand teamed up to put all of existence into darkness. Now, Black Hand, who was the embodiment of death, led a team of undead Black Lantern Corps against an army of heroes. To defeat them, the heroes harnessed the entire emotional spectrum of the lanterns to create the White Lantern Corps. As a result, many dead heroes returned, including Hawkman and Hawkgirl, Maxwell Lord, Firestorm, Hawk, Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter. Now in Gotham City, Batman's absence made things harder for the Bat family, as Nightwing and Red Hood fought for the mantle of Batman. Nightwing won and made Damian Wayne his Robin until Bruce Wayne's return from his voyage through time. Now, Barry Allen, the Flash, wanted to save his mother from getting murdered, so he channeled the entire Speed Force in himself to go back in time and change the events. This led to a flashpoint which changed the histories and realities of the world. When Flash returned to the present timeline after undoing the flashpoint events, reality was still unstable and many things had changed. However, not all changes were costly, as Barbara Gordon, who was able to continue her career as Batgirl. Then a sorcery focused Justice League Dark was established with members including John Constantine, Zatanna, Madame Xanadu, Deadman, and Shade, and eventually some other magical heroes as well. A new Suicide Squad was drafted by Amanda Waller with members including Harley Quinn, Deadshot, El Diablo, King Shark, Black Spider, and more. Then the Bat family learned a dark secret, which was imbued within their own city. The Court of Owls, with their near immortal assassins, the Talons, manipulated the common populace and the Waynes, as they were some of the most influential families in Gotham. As Red Hood's acts made him keep distance with the Bat family, he formed his own team called the Outlaws, including Starfire, Bizarro, Artemis, and Roy Harper, once again as Arsenal. The mantle of Red Arrow was taken by crime fighter Emiko Queen, half sister of Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow. Then, a discovery on New Genesis of an alternate Earth mother box shook the world, as it led to an assault by Earth 3's crime syndicate. After the syndicate took all the heroes off the board, an unlikely alliance of Lex Luthor, Captain Cold, Bizarro, and Black Manta beat them. A young woman named Jessica Cruz was possessed by Earth 3 Hal Jordan's ring. With the help of Batman, she was able to shed the evil influence. She was later awarded her own ring by the Green Lanterns and was welcomed into the Corps. She partnered with another new recruit, Simon Baz, who was a mechanic from Michigan. During this time, Nightwing's identity as Dick Grayson was revealed to the world, so he faked his own death and joined a spy organization called Spiral as Agent 37 until the satellites erased his identity revelation. Wallace Daniel Ace West, who was Iris West's youngest nephew, was granted unstable speed by his future self, so he became the new Kid Flash. Then a Congolese police officer, David Zavembe, became Batwing, who was a member of Batman Incorporated, which is a worldwide team of crime busters financed by Bruce Wayne. Later, he passed the identity to Luke Fox, son of Lucius Fox, one of Wayne's most trusted advisors. In Gotham City, a group called We Are Robin and Duke Thomas were young vigilantes reclaiming Gotham back from a near takeover by the Joker. Batman recognized Duke's efforts and trained him. Later, his metahuman powers activated, through which he could manipulate light and shadow, making him the Signal. Khalid Nassour, an Egyptian American, was chosen by the cat god Bastet to bear the helm of fate, replacing Kent Nelson for a short period of time, and then eventually becoming the new Dr. Fate. Then Grail, who is daughter of Darkseid and an Amazonian assassin, Mirena the Black, assumed her destiny to become the anti-god who would someday slay her own father. So she summoned the Anti-Monitor to this world and orchestrated a war between the Anti-Monitor and Darkseid, who was under her control. So Wonder Woman and Marina worked together to convince Grail to stop this and slay Darkseid once more. This was a reality-shaking war, as the Flash had realized that ever since the Great Crisis, something was causing discrepancies in the universe, and the events would fluctuate without them realizing it. Now, there was an actual agent attached to these changing events who was frustrated by reality's instability and was compelled to reset it once more. This reset started when the forgotten Wally West reappeared, heralding a wave of energy that undid many changes brought by the Flashpoint. Multiple histories and legacies were restored, allowing Wally West to establish a new Teen Titans. Certain contradictions and inconsistencies of the past were also forgotten in the origins of Wonder Woman, Superman, and Ryan Choi's Atom, and others as well. This renewed energy brought in a new wave of heroes and villains. Jackson Hyde, son of Black Manta and Zebellian rebel Lucia, rejected his villainous heritage to become Aqualad and later Aquaman. Then Justice League of China was formed with Batman, Wonder Woman, Dragonson, Robin Bot, The Flash, Avery Ho, and Superman, Kong Kenan. August Hart, who was a former detective partner of Barry Allen, became a malevolent speedster Godspeed as a result of the same Speed Force storm that made Wallace West the Kid Flash. Then John Kent debuted as the new Superboy along with his friend Damian Wayne. They battled evil as Super Sons. Through exposure to 5 divine metals Electrum, Dionysium, Promethium, Nth Metal, and Batmanium, Batman unintentionally opened a door to the Dark Multiverse, which was a sick mirror image of the multiverse populated with the worst fears, anxieties, and outcomes of creation. The Batman who laughs, who is Bruce Wayne from Earth 22, emerged as the lieutenant of the Dark God Barbatos. His army of Dark Knights laid waste to Earth, pulling it into the Dark Multiverse. In the end, the League defeated Barbatos by accessing the power of the 10th metal. Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman were able to return Earth in its proper state and restore some more of the forgotten history. But this act inadvertently shattered the source wall that surrounds the multiverse and would have major consequences. During these events, Kendra Saunders re-emerged as Hawkgirl, sharing the memories with the still existing Hawkwoman. Mr. Terrific brought Metamorpho, Plastic Man, and Phantom Girl together as the Terrifics. Then exposure to a rift into the Dark Multiverse turned Derek James into the teleporting Sideways. Following an incursion from the Omega Titans from beyond the Source Wall, the Justice League was divided into 3 distinct teams. One team consisting of Cyborg, Starfire, Jessica Cruz, Azrael, a revived Darkseid, and others concentrated on extraterrestrial realms. Then the main league, including Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, John Stewart, Flash, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Hawkgirl, and others, worked from the Hall of Justice to protect Earth. Deep underneath the hall, Justice League Dark, with its core membership of Wonder Woman, Detective Chimp, Man-Bat, Zatanna, and Swamp Thing, attended to mystical menaces. Then Totality, which was a remnant from the Source Wall breach, hurled towards Earth. Totality is the power core from which the multiverse was originally created. Lex Luthor and his Legion of Doom began unlocking its energies of creation before Hawkgirl took it and sealed it in the Hall of Justice. Batman proposed to Catwoman, who left him after months of engagement at the wedding altar. These events were orchestrated by his enemies. To antagonize him more, Nightwing was shot in the head by an assassin KG Beast. Dick Grayson survived this, but had no memories of his heroic past. When Wally West returned, he brought back a mysterious button of an unknown origin. Batman and Barry Allen investigated this artifact, and this led them to a confrontation with Reverse Flash and the Flashpoint Batman, who was Thomas Wayne, a remnant from the Flashpoint reality. Batman and Barry's detective work led them to an enigmatic being who had been rebooting reality for many years, and he finally made himself known. Dr. Manhattan, a traveler from an alternate universe, was the most powerful entity the League had ever encountered. A near godlike being who could alter time and reality with just a thought. He had been altering the hero's past for a great while to observe the resultant effects. Ultimately, the lesson learned was that there is one immutable constant in this universe, and that is hope. Inspired by Superman's unwavering refusal to bow to darkness, Manhattan left their reality and made a few final alterations by erasing the discrepancies caused by the Flash in his time traveling shenanigans. He also returned the JSA to their proper place in history. Meanwhile, Damian created a Titans team of his own with Roundhouse, Jin, Kid Flash, Red Arrow, and Lobo's daughter Crush. A new Young Justice team was also established by Superboy Connor Kent and Impulse, including Tim Drake's Robin, Cassie Sandmark as Wonder Girl, Naomi MacDuff, a teenager with energy-based powers, Amethyst, Jonah Hicks's descendant Ginny Hicks, Teen Lantern, and others. Miguel Montes discovered the H-Dial and transformed into various heroes. Zan and Jaina, the Wonder Twins of Ixor, began operating as interns at the Hall of Justice. In order to finally take over Gotham, Bane instigated a blitzkrieg against Batman by unleashing his greatest enemies and isolating him from his allies, thus forcing him into exile. Bane also murdered Alfred Pennyworth in cold blood in front of Damian Wayne. Enduring this fight for his life, Batman eventually vanquished Bane before the city, but would never make up for the loss of the man who raised him. Superman's son, John, who had been under the care of a time traveler faking to be his grandfather Jor-El, returned almost grown after having endured years of imprisonment by Ultraman in a dimension where time moved far more rapidly. In Keystone City, Wally's children, Irie and Jay, joined the Flash family as Thunderheart and Surge. Meanwhile, a group called Leviathan, led by a former Manhunter, Mark Shaw, destroyed the world's most prominent espionage agencies, including the DEO, Argus, Shade, Checkmate, and Spiral. So Lois Lane assembled a group of world's sharpest detectives to take them down. Jo Mullein, an Earth-born member of the Green Lantern Corps, was assigned to a region so distant from Oa, she referred to it as the Far Sector. In Gotham, a Joker-obsessed woman named Alexis K became his new partner in crime and romance with the name Punchline. In Atlantis, Aquaman and Mira welcomed their newborn daughter Andrina Andy Curry. Then a final threat from beyond the Source Wall emerged. It was Perpetua, who made herself known after trillions of years of anguish. Finally, free from the trans-universal prison, she set out to remake the universe in her own image. For this, she recruited the Batman who laughs, who betrayed her and re-imprisoned her, who now became the Darkest Knight. So a time-spanning battle took place between Wonder Woman, who embodied the anti-crisis energy, and the Darkest Knight, who embodied the crisis energy. In order to defeat the enemy and gather power, Diana died and traveled through the metaphysical sphere of gods before returning to life. Diana's victory convinced the Hands to finish the job begun by Dr. Manhattan of stabilizing the universe and reconciling its various histories into a refreshed multiverse. Then Joker finally learned about Batman's secret identity, so he stole the Wayne fortune and declared war on Gotham. However, Batman was able to reverse the damages that were done and also found new allies and enemies in the aftermath. Among them were Bao Pham, the clown hunter. Tim Jace Fox, who was the estranged son of Lucius Fox, became the Batman of New York City. Ghostmaker, Minkhao Khao Khan, a bloodthirsty vigilante trained by Batman's mentors. Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown became Batgirls mentored by Oracle. And Cole Cash as Grifter, who was among the many heroes and anti-heroes, primarily the Wildcats and the Authority, who traveled the multiverse and periodically visited the Earth. Now, to free Warworld from Mongoose' brutal tyranny, Superman assembled some of these heroes into his own authority, with members being Manchester Black, Apollo, Midnighter, OMAC 2, Natasha Irons as Steel, Enchantress, and Leah Nelson as Light Ray. With Superman off-world, John Kent stepped in as the second Superman. Levi Kamei, a young scientist from India, became the new Swamp Thing. Yara Flor, an Amazon born of the Esquecida tribe, became the new Wonder Girl. Marcus Shugel Shen discovered he was a clone of a mythological being and became the Monkey Prince. Jay Nakamura, a Gamoran refugees and activist, as Gossamer, befriended John Kent. Nubia became the Queen of Themyscira. Nia Nal became the Dreamer as she inherited her powers from her mother. Now, Pariah was still tormented by the fact that he sparked the events by unleashing the Anti-Monitor and by starting the Great Crisis. So he returned with a primordial force of evil called the Great Darkness that would reduce everything to oblivion. Pariah's goal was to revive the pre-crisis multiverse, so he captured and drew power from the Justice League members. The younger generation of heroes was put to test as they were the only ones left to fight the Great Darkness's army, which included Darkseid, Doomsday, Necron, and other such great villains. In the end, the heroes won, after a brutal rematch between Nightwing and Deathstroke. After this event, the heroes found out that the new multiverse was actually an omniverse which wasn't centered around Prime Earth, and they were in a balance with a perplexing Elseworld. Then the League disbanded as the heroes realized that the Titans were much more capable of defending the Earth. So Amanda Waller felt free to make an absolute power move. Meanwhile, Devil Neja, an ancient demon once imprisoned by Batman and Superman, ran rampant, causing the regenerative Lazarus pits to volcanically erupt, which showered the Earth with magic that took enormous effort to contain. While battling the Necrostar, Beast Boy's genetic code permeated the atmosphere, temporarily transforming humans into fierce animals. Waller capitalized on this growing distrust of superheroes and teamed up with Failsafe, a robot with Batman's intellect, and Brainiac Queen, a super intelligent android who nearly eradicated all heroes. These events convinced the heroes that the world needed the Justice League more than ever. So every hero on Earth was offered a membership in the League, with its operating base as the Watchtower satellite. Immediately, Darkseid struck, infused with the Spectre's power, now mightier than ever. But his defeat left an Omega energy rift across space-time and which bound him to the Elseworld. Then, due to the resurgence of the Justice League, which now truly felt unlimited, a new era of heroism emerged. Batman updated his appearance after a clash with the Hush. Lois Lane became Superwoman for a while, and Superman was granted the ability to trade hours worth of his powers in exchange of brief invulnerability to kryptonite. Then the Green Lantern Corps began to rebuild their ranks after being finally free from Thanos and his tyrannical control and his corruption of the United Planets. Aquaman added hydrokinesis to his set of powers. Wonder Woman, in remembrance of her lover Steve Trevor, welcomed a daughter carved out of clay and named her Elizabeth. Booster Gold, who left Earth to investigate this Elseworld, was captured and tortured by the Dark Legion before being rescued by Superman. And then, finally, Darkseid reappeared in his most unbeatable form as King Omega. And then, the events of DCKO happen. So this is still where the Flash, Barry Allen, has kind of written and kind of put in a timeline all the history that has happened in the DC universe, right from the start to the era of heroes to all these crisis events to the present timeline. Now, of course, the Flash has traveled into the future as well. He has seen what things happen there too. But the future is impermanent. Surely there are some constants, but it is still fluctuating forever. And that is why the Flash has compiled this history of the DC universe till the present, till the events of DCKO, which we are just 1 month in and we are following through what happens. And right now, Darkseid has kind of taken over the past and the future, and he's coming towards the present. So we'll see what happens in DCKO in a few months about what it brings for the heroes and for the overall scenario of the DC universe. So I hope you all enjoyed all the 4 parts of the history of the DC universe. It was a very fun project for me to work on, and for that, sub to the channel, like and check out my video on DCKO issue number 1, and I will be making more videos on the events that are happening in the DCKO. So yeah, just sub to the channel. That's it. I'll see you in the next.